So a big warm welcome out there, folks. Want to thank you all for hanging around with me today. Happy Fed Day to you. As we've said a couple times today, FOMC Day happens 8 times a year. The Federal Open Market Committee will meet. Their meeting began yesterday on Tuesday morning. They've been meeting since Tuesday morning. Hopefully they gave them a potty break or two. But they now will release this announcement at 2:15 Eastern Time this afternoon. FOMC Day is classified by decent volume early in the morning session, but then that volume quickly dries up and we get this little fluttering of price before the 2:15 announcement. In all reality, that self-fulfilling prophecy that affects almost everything we do with trading is in full gear, is in high gear with this. Traders know it's a summertime day. That's the first thing. Everyone's looking for an excuse to take the day off right now during the summertime. So they know it's summertime. They know it's the FOMC day. They know it's the first day of a brand new month. Yesterday was the last day of the month, right? So we just finished up a month or starting up a new month, summertime, FOMC day. Everyone else is going to assume that everyone else is not trading. So that manifestation of low volume. And what happens is the major money managers, the locals in the pit, the large traders, the pension fund managers, the individual trading, the family fund traders, all these big-time money managers, all these big-time traders, if they want to come back for 2 o'clock news, they better go to Sizzler, right, or go grab their $5 footlong for lunch so they can come back. So they need to leave early. So the major money, the big money, the elephants, the smart money, depending on how you label them. I call them the elephants in the room. They're leaving early. They're leaving early because they don't want to miss their table at lunch. That way they can come back from lunch early and they're ready for whatever happens at 2:15. So the volume's going to drop a little bit earlier. We've seen this all day today. Normally we have pretty good FOMC days, but today was definitely a slow day in this market. So rather than reviewing some trades here, let's talk about how we review those trades. This was a really good question. Bridget, once again, you're always on the ball with great questions in this trade room. A great question was, if I review my trades every day, how do I stop from over-reviewing or over-analyzing? In other words, how do I keep myself from reviewing it but then not being able to sleep that night because I'm so stressed out or anxious about tomorrow's trading? So let's talk about how do we review each trade. Well, there are a couple things I'm going to look for when I review each trade that I take. And let's go over what those things are. The first thing is I'm looking for the time, the pattern, and the reasons I took the trade. So the time will be, let's say, 9:45 a.m. What's the pattern? The pattern was, we'll say, a wave pattern, a wave short. The reason I took the trade: new lower lows, buyers failed, right, et cetera, et cetera. I want to be as detailed as I possibly can when I review my trades, just like I do every day at 11:30, just like we did yesterday afternoon. So we review each one of our trades. What was the pattern? What was the reason? What time did you take it? And then here's the most important part. Hector, would you please email that to support@School of Trade, and I can get that for before training starts, Hector? Thank you. And I believe I think I did you already, but email support@School of Trade, and I'll make sure to get that covered. The next thing is I need to make sure that I've got how the trade play out. So I want to review my trade management. Stop loss, profit targets. But the most important thing regarding my trade management is where my targets were placed. Were they placed correctly? So under trade management, focus on the use of targets. And what I'll usually do is I'll make a note such as I took the trade short, my target was placed at the low of day, it went through the low of day and went to the previous low of day. Let's just say that, okay, for example. The key is I need to be able to look back in time and think to myself, Could you have used a better final target? And oftentimes, I can't just from memory, I can't remember that stuff. I remember that I got some targets filled, but I can't recall exactly until I look at my notes. And so if I noticed that my stop was too tight, if I noticed that my targets were too wide, I want to make sure I put that in those notes. Now, one trading day is never going to affect my trading strategy. I'll repeat, one trading day is never going to affect my trading strategy. In fact, I'd be willing to say that one trading week will never affect my trading strategy. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that I'm not going to be using the data, using the feedback, using the results, and using my notes over time. If I notice, boy, you know what? Every day I consistently miss one big runner. Or I look back and I say, man, over the last 3 weeks, I've noticed if I would have used a 15-tick stop instead of a 10-tick stop, I would have been much better off. If I would have scaled in rather than scaling out, I would have made more money on 83% of my trades. So if I don't do the right job on one trade, I'm not making changes, I'm making notes. If it keeps happening, the simple fact of writing this stuff down, the simple fact of recording this, going through this, just the motions of doing it, most people will pick it up through osmosis, through practice. So just by typing it up, just by thinking about this stuff, you may have a memory, right? As Johnny Drama says, you may have an elephant's brain. That's a great one. What a great episode. But the elephant's brain, right? Elephants never forget. Well, if you have good memory, you may be able to remember all this stuff. I never can. That's why on Fridays, every Friday, I take the time to review the week. All right? I take the time to review the week. I'm looking back at my week, right? I'm looking back at my week, and I'm asking myself, what did I learn this week? And is it similar to what I learned last week? Am I seeing week to week similar results? Okay? That way I can look back Monday through Friday. Okay, Monday there were 3 trades that I had too tight of a stop. Tuesday there were 2 trades. Wednesday there was 4 trades. If you start seeing this continue, this consistency, then now we have the long-term feedback we need to make long-term changes. So keep detailed notes. Everything from the market I traded, the time I took the trade, the pattern I took, the entry point, the targets that I used, why I took that trade. Okay, so now we know that at the end of each week, I'm going to try to make myself better. I'm going to try to look back and see, could I have used a wider stop, different types of targets? Maybe my morning prep was wrong. I'll figure that out with consistency. But Bridget had a good question. How do I keep that from giving me anxiety? How do I keep that from emotionally getting me all charged up? Well, one of the things that I always do, and this is just me personally, I always exercise after my trading routine is done. You may want to read a book. You may want to knit a scarf. Maybe you're a stamp collector. Look over your stamps. For me personally, if I don't get out from behind my computer and go get my heart rate up a little bit, I like to run, I like to swim, I like to mountain bike. I'm a big fan of cornhole, maybe some frolf. If you're into that type of stuff too, definitely not a skydiver and like that, but I do love to be outdoors and I love to be active. You may not. Hey, whatever. Find something though, once you finish this, stop trading, stop working, stop thinking. Go out and enjoy yourself. Minimum 20 minutes. Minimum 20 minutes. Then all those feel-good chemicals come over your brain, right? All the endorphins are pop, 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 firing off. Okay? All the feel-good chemicals, not to mention you're out there doing things that you probably enjoy, so you're feeling better about everything. Now, You're not going to forget about the bad day you had. You're not going to forget about the good day that you had, whatever type of day you had, but at least this takes your subconscious and puts it on a different wavelength. If you're anything like me, you see these charts in your sleep if you don't do this. That's one trick. Another really, really easy trick is a journal. Take a journal out once you're done reviewing this. If you're, again, a lot like me, I have a busy mind. So quiet that mind down by taking out a journal and just blah, right? Get everything out of your head. I'm worried about this, worried about that, can't wait to do this. I wonder if this will happen, right? Will that happen? Write it all down. And then find times to resolve those problems that you're writing down. You'd be amazed how therapeutic journaling can be. So distract yourself, but distract yourself in a positive way. All right, don't go to the bar and drown your your success or your failure in sorrow. It's not going to help you out. All right, alcohol is not healthy. It's going to make it difficult to wake up the next morning, and it definitely slows down brain function. I can tell you that from experience. So don't do something that's self-destructive. Find a way to be positive about it. Okay, and again, this is just my 2 cents. You may be saying, Joe, enough of the butterflies and kisses and rainbows. This is great, but hey, this is what I would recommend. If you get anxiety at the end of the day, I have been someone who personally has had to work through anxiety in my own life. I used to get horrible morning sickness, and I had to create a system in the morning that helped me to get those feel-good chemicals rocking and rolling. If anybody would like any private time with me to talk about that stuff, I'd be happy to. Everyone's different, but we're all very similar in the sense we have emotions. And I'll tell you, if you're like me and anxiety sometimes creeps in, I've always got some good suggestions for that. When is a good time to buy gold? All right, this is another good question today. Now, we were talking about gold, and we had a couple of our members and guests say, hey, do you buy the physical stuff? Do you buy the coins, the bullion? Do you buy any gold ETFs? How have you been buying gold? And